That was vodka. So I put in about 20 hours into Palworld so far, and from the first few moments of this game, there was something just nagging at me at the back of my head. Maybe it was like guilt for betraying Game Freak, or maybe some kind of remorse for things lost, but I really don't know, honestly. There was just something back there. Like many of us, I grew up with Pokemon. I grew up loving these little adorable creatures that were more friends than pets. So it was no wonder that I had a slight aversion to stuffing these little critters into what amounted to a, fantasy blender and blending them up into larger, bigger versions of themselves. However, once I got past the initial shock, I was stuffing and butchering and exploiting these little critters for all kinds of capital gains. But it was only after I beat my first boss that I was finally able to put into words why I'm so angry, so viscerally angry when I play this game. Pocket Pair Inc., with one matchstick, 2 pieces of string, a paper clip, and a 9-volt battery, were able to give me a more immersive and polished Pocket Monster experience than Game Freak has ever been able to do. Notice I didn't say Pokemon experience. Pokemon has a very specific gameplay loop. With a few notable exceptions, you travel what is typically a linear path. You catch Pokemon, you train Pokemon, and you use those Pokemon to battle trainers, and you can pick up more Pokemon and train them harder, defeat more gym leaders until you beat the Elite Four. That is the Pokemon experience. Palworld shares varying degrees of similarity with Pokemon. You do catch Mons, you do train them, and you do use them to battle gym leaders. But that goal seems tertiary to more pressing issues like shelter and survival. Palworld is first and foremost a crafting survival game. It is not a strategy combat game like Pokemon is. Every game asks its player a question. Whether or not it's stated explicitly is a whole different matter. If I had to compare and contrast the two, I would say the question that Pokemon asks is, how are you going to be the very best like no one ever was? Whereas the question Palworld might ask is, how are you going to survive in this harsh, monster-filled world? The games do share similarities, but they are fundamentally different games. That being said, there are experiences that I have always wanted to have in a Pokemon game. Something as simple as being able to recall a Pokemon on command, or seeing a Pokemon that is obviously rideable and taming it to ride it specifically. I've always wanted to fly through the sky with my Pokepal of choice. If the Pokemon can learn fly, I want to teach it to fly, and I want to fly with my Pokemon. I've never been able to do that. Pokemon Arceus came close, but it just wasn't everything I needed it to be. I am furious that it was not Game Freak that gave me those experiences. It should have been Game Freak. This game had a budget of $6.2 million. Okay, that's USD. That is a drop in the bucket for Game Freak. Okay, that is a lost eyelash. That is a minor corporate whoopsie for Game Freak. Nintendo never disclosed how much Scarlet and Violet actually cost to produce, but you can guarantee it was more than $6.2 million. And look at the horrid, buggy mess that they left us. Look at him. Look at my boy. I'm not saying that Palworld is perfect. It's far from it. It's still in early access, and it's buggy as hell, but that's just it. Pocket Pair is a small indie game studio. This was their last shot. They poured everything that they had into this. If this game failed, the studio was going under. Pocket Pair's CEO admits that the plan was just to keep pumping money into this thing and hope that it worked out, basically. If their bank account went dry, they lost everything. If this failed, they would lose everything. If a Pokemon game fails, Nintendo and Game Freak shrug their shoulders and go, oh well, we'll try again next time. So, anyway, so I'm angry. Angry that this game is so good. Angry that Pocket Pair Inc. gave me experiences that Game Freak should have done with Pokemon Arceus, or really any time before then. Furious that despite massive budgets, Scarlet and Violet were as buggy as they were. I am livid Because from now on, I will be comparing any experience Game Freak gives me to Palworld. And now that there's a little competition in the creature capture game, maybe Game Freak will give us something next generation. Who knows? It's just my feelings and thoughts on it. I want to know what you think. How do you feel about the experiences Palworld gave you? Do you think that they measure up to Pokemon, or do you think they surpass them? Either way, you're my friends, you're my family, you're my alternative rock jam band. As always, I'll see you again when the time is right. Toodles.